Hey everyone, Cam Roberts here, and I'm joined by my good mate Steve Plummer. And today we're here to talk about the 5 hardwire human traits that block sale and how to avoid them. Block the sale and how to avoid them. So, Steve, thanks for coming on today.
Pleasure, Cam. Hi everyone. How you going? How are you today, Cam?
Yeah, very good, thank you. And
nice cool day again, hey?
Oh, cold day in the Sunshine Coast. But anyway, the sun's out. It's just a bit chilly, so we can't complain too much.
Yeah, I got to say I'm enjoying the cool. We haven't had a cool winter for a couple of years, so I'm quite enjoying it. I got to say.
Yeah. It allows you to go out and buy a jumper after all, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You know, and you get to wear your top up nice and cool. Yeah, nice and warm. So yeah.
Good, man. So today, Steve, we're talking about things that block the sale.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the 5 hardwired human traits that block the sale and how to avoid them. So obviously there's 5, but before we get started, is there any sort of pre-information you want to share with us before we jump in?
Oh, look, Cam, I guess the origin of this, I was asked not so long ago, so what are the things I really need to know about, making a sale? And well, how long's a piece of string,
Yeah.
We all want a simple answer to a complex problem, right? So I guess I've boiled it down to 5 things that are in me, that are in you, that are in everyone who goes to buy anything. And really in your copy and in your marketing, you've got to hit those 5 things or neutralize those 5 things to make the sale smooth. And often in the sales message, if one of those 5 things are missing, actually I'll give you 6, I'll give everyone a bonus as well. If one of them are missing, that can suppress sales. So what I want to share with everyone listening today is what are those 5 things that are kind of hardwired into you. And I guess when I think about it, when I go to write any campaign, I don't really think about those things. They're just hardwired into me so that I just do them automatically. But when I go back and look at all the really successful campaigns, I did all 5 of these things, and so I'd encourage everyone to do it, or at least have that thought in the back of their mind and how can I deal with this? And the reason I got to deal with it is because it's about your market, but it's not about your market specifically. It's about the humanity of your market, right? And we all of us are very similar. I go back to that. There was something I saw in the biggest mail order category. In the 1950s was adult entertainment, let's call it. So pornography, right? And what's one of the biggest online industries? Pornography, right? And I'm not making a comment one way or the other on that, but human nature, the human psyche does not change, right? And so these things are hardwired into all of us, and that's what I wanted to share today.
Okay, cool. So I've got some notes here of what you're going to talk about. And the first one, you're actually going to talk about how people want to feel safe. So do you want to unpack that one and let's explore what that one is?
Yeah, so anxiety, Cam, is probably how I would express that. Every single one of us who buys has a certain level of anxiety.
Yeah,
right. And what I mean by that is that we're a little bit nervous, we're a little bit tentative, and even if I just consider, when people are searching for something online, they've got 5 or 6 tabs open, maybe 7, maybe 15, and so really you've only got a few seconds for your website to really capture them. And so you've got these 2 forces at play, right? One, I'm an anxious buyer, and the second one is you've only got a couple of seconds. So it can be a really difficult thing, and it's probably no different offline as well. But we've got to understand that everyone comes anxious. No one wants to be the one who was left out making a bad decision and being embarrassed. So we've got to understand that that's when they come to your website or your text, whatever it might be, you've really got to give them the feeling, I finally found it. This is what I've been looking for, right? And that's a combination of a number of things. It's the words you used aimed at your heavy users. It's the images, it's the colors, it's the layout of the website, right? All of those things go towards that anxiety reducing things so that it is safe for them to stay, safe for them to keep reading. If there's any little red flags there, the colors aren't right, the words don't really talk about the transformation or the result I want, then anxiety goes bing and they're gone. So So really, I'd really encourage everyone to understand that every buyer that comes to you has a level of anxiety, and that's CEO down to consumer, right?
Yeah, that's really good. And when you're talking about making people feel safe, can you give us an example of just one example of what that is? If you were going to write some email copy or ad copy or a brochure for someone, what would that look like?
Okay, so there's probably, I mentioned colors and images that relate to your market, but one of the simplest ways is to call out the group they identify with.
Right.
Marketing solutions for dentists. Oh, thank goodness I'm in the right place, right? That's
Tradies.
that's a really simple example, but it's things like that incrementally just reduce that anxiety level. Now one of the other things I will point out, that none of these things are magic pills, right? They go into that whole mix of your marketing, your copy, to get the sale. And again, we're not looking for a simple solution to a complex problem here.
Exactly, yeah. And smart marketing is another one. You can use geotagging. So when someone lands on your website, you can say, marketing for Queenslanders, or you're in the right spot for Queensland properties, And if someone from New South Wales visits that site, it says New South Wales. So there's many ways to do that. So that's really good.
So just on actually, it's a good point, Ken, because just on the flip side of that, if you're from Cairns and all of a sudden you land on a site that says XYZ for New South Wales, I'm out of
wrong
here.
Place. Place.
Well, we lost the state of origin and I'm out of here, right? So that anxiety just went right through the roof, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So so the next one, we're talking about number 2. So we're up to number 2.
Yeah.
You're talking about following the crowd. Let's talk about that. What does that mean, and how can we put it into marketing?
Yeah, it's a really good one, Ken, because we're herd creatures, right? And what again, we don't want to be isolated, embarrassed, left out by ourselves. So let me put it this way: if we're walking along the street and we see 3 or 4 people standing up, pointing, looking into the sky, what do?
Yeah, we're going to look up.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right.
What's that?
I mean, even if there's nothing there.
Yeah, you said when you drive along on the freeway, the freeway will be banked back up for 20, 15 minutes back down the line, and you get there and there was someone broken down, everyone's just stopping to have a look, So totally.
Yeah, so we do want to follow a crowd. So we don't want to be isolated, the one embarrassed or any of those sorts of things. So your marketing, I guess, must make them feel, and it's linked to first one of anxiety, but it must make them feel like, oh, it's okay to do something. There's evidence there that you're not the only one on the end of the internet or whatever it might be, right? And so we're talking about things like social proof, testimonials, product in action, before and afters. I always say there's a lot to be learned from the weight loss industry, the way they market. There's so much social, like, it's so safe to be there as a consumer. I mean, not that I've ever written, that's one market I haven't written in, but I'm a student of the art. And that herd creature, everyone's doing it with lots of proof and lots of things that make it safe for me, is a really good way to reduce that anxiety and to tap into that need to feel part of something, right? And not be alone.
Yeah, that's really good. And another one, there's product in action. That's always a good one as well.
Totally.
So,
seeing is believing, right? Yeah, seeing is believing.
It's like those infomercials at late at night. They show you people that are already using it, and people giving testimonies, whether it's a gym or a kitchen product, and they show it in action. Happy people using it just like them. So that's really good.
Yep. Even something as simple as the number of users of it. Somewhere in your copy, a list of those who've bought. Like that is we're herd creatures. We get drawn to that, right? Oh, if all those other people are doing it, it's okay for me to do it.
Yeah. People you've served, you often see it on people's websites, like who also uses this product, and there might be like little corporate emblems or company emblems of other companies that have used their products before and used their services.
Maps of where your buyers are. That's very powerful as well. That visual instantly they get it.
Trustpilot is another one. All those star rating type things, Google reviews, Facebook reviews that you can put into your site as well, so they all help.
Yeah. Oh, it must be okay, right? All those things are there. The herd has made it okay for me to do it as well.
Yeah, that's good. All right. Now, number 3, Steve, everyone's looking for a good deal or a bargain. Is that right?
Absolutely. But we want to feel special, you
Yeah.
know, whether we're wounded individuals or what, but we all want to feel special.
Yeah.
You know, and so, gee, Cam, well, the price is normally $200, but you know, I can give it to you today for 180.
Yeah.
You know, when I say that, you automatically feel special. Well, and this is multi-layered, right? Because one, we all want to get a bargain and get one up on someone else.
Yeah.
But the other part of it too is there's a fair bit of reciprocity at play, right? If I'm giving you a bargain of some sort, you're more inclined to say yes because of that reciprocity thing. So, you know, we are needy. We want to feel special. What can you do in your offers when you're crafting your offers to make them feel special? Now, obviously, you've got to know your numbers and I don't necessarily encourage discounting and all those sorts of things, but how can understand that basic human need to feel like you've got a good deal and that you're a bit more special than the other person who didn't get the deal.
Yeah, that's really good. And so, like you talked about discounting, sometimes it's just about adding more value. So, you know, it's like, hey, Steve, look, if you start today, what I can do is I can get you on the fast track, or we can get you started straight away, or I can hook you up with so-and-so, or I can give you access to my special whatever it is that's going to help you, you know, achieve that result really quickly, you know?
Yeah, totally. And Cam, I tell that story of the carpet cleaning mob who kept ringing me up, and I kept fobbing them off. And, you know, they said, look, we got trucks in the area. Great line, right? We got trucks in the area.
And there's one just outside your door.
Pretty much, yeah. But it was, you know, we'll do 3 rooms for the price of 2, you know, or whatever. Like, and that's normally, I don't know, 180, but for you today, it's 140, you know, like that was. And while we're there, we're happy to do pest control for an extra $60.
Yeah, that's really good.
So it went from no to me spending over $200, you know, and I knew. The interesting thing is I knew exactly what they were doing, but I bought, you know.
Yeah, because it was a good deal. It was the right time for you. It was a good deal, and all of that, and you were presented with a good offer. One thing I want to say about the offer, Steve, is it's important not to make it unbelievable. So it's like, hey, look, this carpet service, it's normally $10,000, Steve, but you can get it today for only $180. That just wipes all credibility off the table, right?
Yeah. Here's the other thing too, Cam, and I guess revealing a bit of my vulnerability here. I also was pretty happy to tell the missus when she got home, hey, I got us a good deal today. You know, I saved us X bucks, and we're getting the carpet cleaned, right?
Yeah.
So that was a really good ego boost for me, and the reason for that, I'm a human being, just like the people everyone sells to, you know.
Yeah.
It's a really important one. We want to feel special, you know. So make them feel special in your offers.
Okay, great. So moving on to number 4. Lazy, the hardwired human trait, lazy. Are you saying we're all lazy, Steve? Is that what you're saying?
100%. Right? We are slothful. We don't want to buy. You know, it's so much easier to say no than to say yes and part with our money, right?
Yeah.
You know, and here's the thing. The human mind can justify anything. I don't feel like it. Today's not the right day. Like, the human mind can justify anything, right? So your market is lazy and slothful and doesn't want to buy. That's not a negative thing. It's just, again, how we're hardwired, right? Know who you're selling to, and there is a sloth in every human being.
Yeah, even for them to get their credit card out of their purse, handbag, or wallet, right? It's like you're making them do something. You know, they've got to move off the chair, the couch, wherever they're, you know, looking at their phone, and take that next step.
Yeah, totally. You know, we don't want to part with our money. We just don't.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and it's so much easier to justify it, right?
Yeah. So how do you avoid that? How do you avoid people being lazy? What are some of the things that you can do?
Well, you've got to jolt them out of their lethargy, right? And that's, you absolutely have to hit the FOMO gland, right? Everyone fears missing out, and so you have to have your scarcity and urgency. Hypey, how hype is that? Well, if you want to sell stuff, that's what you got to do, right? You have to draw a line in the sand at some point that says you're either going to say yes and take action and get the transformation you want, or you're going to miss out, right? And that small window is what jolts people out of their lethargy of, I don't know, couldn't be bothered, you know. But that lethargy is there; it has to be beaten.
Yeah, and we see that all the time in in car sales ads and properties. Real estate agents do it. There's always that that scarcity and urgency that they create for the buyer. Whether it's the current season's model running out, or 4 other buyers are looking at this house or property. There's always that going on, and there will be 4 other buyers, but they could have not told you, but they use that as part of that sales tool, right?
Yeah, because they know that we would rather think about it than do it. As much as we want it, we would rather think about it and put it off and flop and so forth.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. All right. The fifth hardwired human trait that blocks a sale, Steve, crave stimulus. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I have said it before, Cam, that novelty, something new, something different. Our minds are always looking for the next thing, right? The next shiny object. So as much as you can, without obviously lying and making stuff up, but you've got to come across as new and interesting, because it releases that novelty releases dopamine in the brain. Dopamine's a happy chemical, and that puts your prospect into a better state of mind to actually take the next step, right? If it's boring, same old, well, it's kind of boring. I've switched off already, So, and I guess that's part of our skill as marketers, copywriters, and so forth, is to present that newness, that excitement that will get them out of their lethargy as well, and get them to be interested.
I can remember we worked with a client on this, and they said, but it's the same product as always, and we were trying to coach them through it and say, well, no, it's new. It's not been released before in this capacity. So it's about using what you've already got, tweaking it a little bit, adding some bonuses, adding some extra offers in there, and just making it new. It's a new release, right? Yeah. It's a new opportunity.
Yeah, I can remember that conversation really well, Cam. We were saying that they were saying, well, but we've taught this course before. It's the same stuff, and we were going, but hang on a minute, have you ever presented it to them in this way? Well, no. But there it is. It's new, right? It's a new thing that you can take to market. It's slightly different in the presentation and the way you've packaged it all. It's a new thing, and that's what will stimulate buying in your market. People want that stimulus of the new. Right, it's a really important one.
Excellent, very good. And so that's 5. But you said there's a bonus one. What's the bonus you're going to give us today?
Yeah, well, we're busy human beings, Cam. We're forgetful. You've got to keep reminding people.
That's really good.
And I mean, I sound like my wife talking to me, right? But and I'm sure yours talking to you. But
I forget all the time.
Yeah. Totally. And we don't do it deliberately, but we're busy, right? And so you've got to keep remind them via multi-channels works really well. Really SMS, email, direct mail, whatever it might be. Reminder, simply because we forget.
Yeah, totally. And that's important for launches, webinars, any sort of sales presentations that you're running. Often I see people do some sort of webinar or some sort of web class or something like that, and they might send one reminder. But the problem is, if someone's searching on Facebook and they see an ad and they click that ad and they register for that webinar today, but it's not until a week, they're going to forget, so you've got to have that reminder in there. And then, as part of that reminder, that's your opportunity to build some, pre-framing or indoctrination about what it is that you do, add some more value, give some more content. And that way you're doing 2 things at once. You're adding value, building the relationship, but also reminding them about when your event's on and when your launch is on.
Totally. Yeah, 100%, Cam. Nice work with the ticker too.
Excellent. Yeah, we got the ticker right today, the ticker tape parade, so it's going well, and that's all good. Now, Steve, if people want to get in touch with you to learn more about, some of those traits that block the sale, or get help with their marketing or copy, how can they do that?
Yeah, sure, Cam. So just in the next week, if you've got some issues you'd like to discuss, some strategy you would like, even just to run my eye over some things for you, I'm offering a free 30-minute marketing calibration call where we'll discuss your main issue and give you some tools and some strategies to move forward. So it's a complimentary marketing calibration call, goes for 30 minutes. Simply email me, steve@symmetrymarketing.com.au. And put the word calibration in the subject line, and I'll know that to prioritize that and get back to you ASAP. So that's steve@symmetrymarketing.com.au, and put the word calibration in your subject line. So Symmetry Marketing is SYMMETRYMARKETING. It's one word. So steve@symmetrymarketing.com.au, and the word calibration in the subject line.
Excellent. And what we'll do, if you just if you're watching this video later on, just have a look down below there somewhere, and we'll
under the ticker.
Yeah, under the ticker, and we'll make sure we put that email address and that word down there for you, so you can just click on it and send Steve an email, get in touch with him, and see what he can do for your business. So excellent.
All righty. Thanks, Cam. Thanks, folks. Great to see you again.
All right, great. Thanks, Steve. See you, everyone.
All right. See ya.
Cheers.